you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die, and can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability? Well, Dee Wallace, thank you for joining us.
So happy to be here.
It's great to be here. I'm excited to be here in Los Angeles with yourself. It's an honor. Thank you for agreeing to come on.
My pleasure, Kevin.
So, obviously a lot of people will know you from the famous movie E.T. When you see the name Dee Wallace, they think of, when I've spoken to people about getting you on, they're like, oh, I know that name. I guess that something follows you around a lot, doesn't it? You know, your sort of movie side, but they probably don't know that you're actually a channeler as well. You always have been.
Well, I think a lot of people know now, but you know, some people gravitate toward the movie actress side and some people gravitate toward the healing channel side. And every once in a while, the two shall meet, right? What's interesting is that I never realized I was really channeling my characters until I became a channel of information. So it's not, the two worlds are really much closer than most people think.
So when you watch back, for example, E.T., right? I'm sure, you know, when anniversary editions come out, you know, that's the time to maybe see what they've done to the movie and, you know, just to be part of that process as well. When you look at yourself playing that character back, can you now tell that you were channeling some aspects of that character?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just thought at the time it was, you know, and I don't know why I didn't put it together more consciously. I thought it was a technique that I was learning from my mentor, Charles Conrad. But I would see miraculous things happen in class, like somebody would get up and we were only allowed to read the material one time. You never knew where the material was being taken from. So even if you couldn't identify it as a movie you'd watched or anything. So we had no information about what scenes we were doing. And I would see people get up and one time this girl started limping and Charles said, "Stop, you've seen this. You're not supposed to do material if you've seen." She said, "Charles, I swear to you, I don't know. It's just," and the character she was playing in the scene was a cripple. So she was channeling that information, which I think a lot of really brilliant actors do. I mean, all of my big moments in film that the critics and the public have gone, "Oh, look at that moment," have been moments that never were thought out, that took me over as the character, and that's channeling. So when I literally started channeling consciously and purposefully from the healing point of view, I went, oh wait, I know this place. Oh my God, I've been doing this for a long time and didn't really know it.
That's incredible you say that. And do you think that other actors that know of your work now, that have, obviously you brush shoulders with in the past, do you think maybe they can relate some of where your journey's gone, and they can relate that maybe they're doing the same thing as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you really live for those moments that take you over, that come from the blue. I remember doing the dinner table scene in E.T. And Steven had a habit, Steven Spielberg, of whispering to people, okay, do this now, do that, don't tell them, and And so he said to me, Dad's in Mexico with Sally. I didn't know that was coming, but I was so Mary. I wasn't Dee playing Mary, I was Mary. Mm-hmm. And when he said that to me, I remember vividly thinking, here come the tears. I don't want my kids to see me cry. And I left the table, which was not in the script. And Steven came over to me and said, Dee, why did you do that? What? And I explained to him the moments that happened to me. And then he turned around and had the kitchen built in the next 30 minutes so he could take me over there and bring me into that big close-up where I say, he hates Mexico. And all that happened because I was channeling Mary. I wasn't Dee who had come in and decided how she was going to play the part.
That gives me goosebumps, that does.
Yeah, it's brilliantly exciting for an actor to have those moments take you over.
That's beautiful. And I'm guessing there were many other parts in that movie that when you look back now, and you probably have looked back, when you can see that coming through in different scenes as well.
Oh, absolutely. When I pop him on the head and say, no penis breath talk in this house, and I laugh. I mean, if I had stopped and worked it out and thought, well, what would a mother do? A mother would, don't talk like that. But it was so beautiful and so real. And again, a moment that all the critics picked out of the movie. So many moments in Cujo. Because there's no real way that you could go into a film like Cujo and plan anything. You're working with a 6-year-old and a dog. And you just had to be in every single solitary moment, right?
Yeah.
And just be there.
I've noticed just when you read the entertainment news sometimes, right, how they use the word, he channeled this character. And every time I see it, I was like, oh, save that. And I always forget to save the web page I saw it on or the newspaper article I've seen, came across it on. And it's a word that's used much more now in the industry than it used to be. Channel this, you're in a character kind of thing.
Yeah. You really aren't in the character, you are the character. You bring in the energy of the character.
Yeah. And you teach acting?
I have taught acting. I'm not teaching at the present moment, but I had my own studio for 18 years and taught this technique.
And would you include what we've spoken about here? Would you include that to channel that inner part of you, that part of that character, to make the scene that you're trying to do?
Absolutely, that's the basis of my technique. Is that we don't stop, we don't work on, we don't break things apart, we don't look for beats. Your subconscious will do all that for you if you give over and get out of your mind. But the challenge is that we want to be good, and we want to be light. We want to get the part. And so all those things make you want to control the situation more. And like life, if you try to control it too much, the magic can't happen.
Right. Yes, that's that's a good point in kind of letting go in life sometimes, isn't it? And just, accepting the situation as it is, and just, going with the flow as well, without trying to control things too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magic happens when you know what you want, you hold your focus on what you want, you feel great and excited about what you want, you're in alignment, I deserve it, I love it, I'm happy, I'm excited, this feels good, and then you go, okay, I'm turning it over because I've directed what I want. I'm very clear, I'm committed to it. Now, universe, come in and play with me, work with me, create the magic with me, because we are in partnership with the one energy. But the one energy will not intercede on our behalf without our clear direction.
That's so true. And when I look back, I mean, how many movies have you done, would you say?
I'm almost up to 200.
200?
Yes.
Oh my
I've been busy.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And I think, which one is your biggest, would you say, to date? Is that E.T., would you say, or on a scale?
Oh, yes, probably, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many stories of how E.T. changed the world.
It
and
did.
Changed people's lives. Well, yes, for example, I had a mother come up to me when I was doing a personal appearance, tears down her cheeks. She said, Ms. Wallace, I want you to know you're part of a miracle in my life. My son is autistic. He's 10 years old. I had never heard him speak, ever, in his life. And I took him to see E.T., and he started saying all the lines that E.T. said on the way home. Wow. It's miraculous. There's something about the movie that transcends the heart, right? It speaks to us on a heart level. Mm-hmm. And we remember.
That's so true. And, and I've got to say something else about it that's coming to my mind right now, is that it kind of talks the story of a benevolent, loving universe.
Absolutely.
There's nothing negative about E.T. in a sense.
No, E.T.'s the teacher. E.T.'s the reminder. Keep your heart open. Use your light. You get back to the home of you, right?
Right.
Heal through love.
It's so true. I mean, there's so many movies out there right now that we love to see E.T. as being a sort of negative thing, like it's us against them, and, we're at war with them.
No, Stephen got it right when he did E.T. They're here to help, they're here to guide, but they cannot interfere. Like all energy, cannot interfere. Ask and you receive. But the original Hebrew meaning of ask is claim it and demand it. This will be delivered to me, right? And so you have to ask for help from your I am presence, for the one energy, whatever your term is for that, universal love, the creative force, God. The one energy doesn't care. It doesn't judge. So it will give you, if you want to focus on the negative, it will give you the best negative it can give you. If you want to focus on the positive, it'll give you the best positive it can give you, because we're here to learn how to work and direct energy.
Well, thank you so much for that. That is so true. And just being with you in this moment, I just realized actually most of Steven Spielberg's movies, when it came to the ET subject, they weren't really actually, there was no negative message in there. And actually when I think about it, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there's probably more truth in that movie than we actually understand. And I think to myself, where did he get these ideas from? Who's feeding Mr. Steven Spielberg?
Excuse me, aren't we talking about channeling here?
We are. We are. Well, that's where he's getting it from, isn't it?
Exactly. That's where most artists get it.
Yeah.
You know, painters channel their paintings. Writers channel their writing. Actors channel their characters. Artists have understood channeling for a long, long time in their artistic presentations and creations. Not so much in the business part.
No, that's true. Yeah, we're still working on some things, right?
Well, but you see, we're taught, leave your intuition, leave your heart, leave the channel, go into your mind when you have to deal with anything, you know, like numbers or money or science. And yet you read Einstein, and he says most of his greatest ideas came from his imagination.
Yes, that's so true, and how sometimes we can be in different parts of the world, yet we're receiving the same information, you know, like great ideas. So they seem to be developing at the same times in different ways, and it's like it's the universe's way of just, you know, communicating an evolutionary step to people. Do you know what I mean? And
yes, because a person here and a person here both asked.
Yes.
So they received the message. That's why the polio vaccine came in within, what, 1 or 2 weeks in Europe and here?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
give me the information. I'm ready for the information. Mm-hmm. I'm committed to receiving the highest information and understanding.
Yeah.
But you have to ask for it.
You have to ask for it, absolutely. Now, just going back a bit here as well to where this all started for you. Let's just go back to your early years as well. Were there always signs for you now you look back that you was always connected to something else, or connected to a greater part of you that was always being accessed?
Absolutely. And we all are. And every child that's born is connected to the God essence of who they are and the one energy. We can't not be connected. We can only think we are. And then we create that illusion reality, much like an actor does, right? But the truth is, we're always connected. You can't break the connection. You can just walk away from it, deny it, not understand it, be afraid of it, but you're always connected to it. So, you know, like I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I was very, very close to my grandmother, who raised me for a lot of my life. And I woke up one night and I went into my mom. It was like 3 a.m. and I said, Mom, we need to go to Grandma's house. Something's wrong. Now, most moms would go, honey, I got to go to work tomorrow. Go back to bed. You're just dreaming. But my mom said, why do you think something's wrong? And I said, I just have this really bad feeling that Grandma's not okay, that there's something dangerous. Well, anyway, make a long story short, my mom respected and honored me enough that she got up. We went over to my grandma's. We got her up, and the cat had gotten up on the stove and turned the gas on, and the house was filled with gas. You know? So you can say, wow, what a coincidence, right? Or you can say, that little girl got some information, and God bless her mom for listening to her.
Were there any other scenarios like that you could think back on? We don't have to name them, but were there other things that took place that you can say that connection was still ongoing throughout?
Oh, sure. Many, Deja Vus, and my dad, was an alcoholic who ended up committing suicide. And when I was very, very little, I would always go over and sit on my daddy's lap, and my mom would say to me, well, why don't you come over, and sit with me, because daddy was a little gone. And I would look at her and he needs my light, Mommy. And he used to call me his bright light, which is the name of one of my books, Bright Light. We were very poor, and every once in a while we would get to go to this takeout restaurant. It was a big splurge for us. Whenever we were out, people would just come over and say, I'm sorry, your little girl has such a light. Could I give her a quarter for the jukebox? And it was just something I kind of always knew. And yet I was in this dichotomy of this childhood where we were poor and my dad was a drunk and we weren't part of the social acceptance, right? And then at the same time, you can do anything, Dee Dee, we'd watch Miss America. You can do that if you wanted. So there was this push and pull all the time, which I think attributes a lot to my talent as an actress.
Yeah, you chose that way of that situation, in a sense. You were poured into that situation. That's what you needed, and it all worked out perfectly, didn't it, in the end? Because
the end isn't here yet.
Well, no.
It's worked out pretty perfectly. That, which is not to say there aren't challenges.
Yeah.
But, I taught a year of high school and I said, I'm moving to New York. I've got to try to be this actress.
You felt that pull within you.
I knew I had to go. And we got a newspaper, right, in the library at the school I taught, and it had this article, Hal Prince is looking for somebody new, an unknown, to star in his new Broadway show, which ended up to be A Little Night Music. So I wrote him this cheesy letter, and I took this cheesy picture. One of my brother's friends who worked for the newspaper at the high school, and I sent it off to him, and 3 weeks later his assistant called and said, Mr. Prince wants to fly you to New York to audition. Well, I said, I already have a ticket. I'm going to be there. When does he need to see me? Well, it was the day I arrived in New York. Now, I was just raised in that naivete that if you already had a ticket and you could save somebody money, you didn't have them pay your way, right? He would have flown me first class, I'm sure. So the day I ended up in New York, I sent everything, all my belongings, off in a taxi cab to the apartment that I'd rented, and I went down to Rockefeller Center to audition for A Little Night Music. And I got down to the last 5 girls in the dancing and the acting, and then they said, well, Mr. Prince would like you to sing. And I went, oh, I didn't know he had to sing. And they said, well, dear, it is a musical. But I knew I had to get to New York. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I knew. And some people call it naivete, I call it knowing. I knew I was supposed to do this. I knew I could do this. And I just was given angels everywhere. Ran into this guy randomly at a coffee shop, and we got to talk, and I said, hi, I'm Dee Wallace, and I'm just here from Kansas. And he said, oh, come on, we're going to sit down, we're going to have coffee, I'm going to tell you everything you need to get lined up, how to get an answering service, how to do this, who to study with, blah. I mean, he spent 2 hours, which probably could have taken me 2 or 3 months, right? I met another guy at an audition. He took me to a party. his agents were there, who were the top commercial agents in New York at the time. And at the end of the party, they said, we'd like you to come by to the office and talk to us. And I went, really? What do you do? Well, we're blah, 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 blah. And I went, and they signed me. But you see, all that's channeling. And people don't understand. They want to make channeling this big woo-woo secret thing that isn't natural. Now, can I channel what age you went into a block at and why you can't create what you want right now? Sure, I can channel all that stuff. But what I want people to know is you're channeling every moment of your life if you're aware, and also if you're in touch with your heart and your gut and you follow that.
Well, if I was to say to you then, as of today, if you was to summarize channeling, just to summarize it, what would it mean to you? I mean, that was a good example there, but what would channeling mean to you?
It would mean being in touch with the highest information and the highest knowledge and the highest understanding. That's where I feel a lot of channels fall out, is they get pieces of information, but the understanding is, for example, I had a channel say to me at one time when I was married, you're going to have an affair and you're going to have it right in front of your husband. And I went, yeah, I'll be dead then, right? That summer, I did Annie, Get Your Gun, and I was in love with the other lead actor in the part, and I was performing it in front of my husband. So they got a part, they got glimpses, right? But it's the highest information you want to get to, which is where the pony is.
And how do people get to the highest information, would you say?
Practice.
Practice, yeah.
And trust. See, I work with a pendulum. I started with kinesiology, being trained in kinesiology. The biggest challenge that any kind of channel has in the beginning is trusting themselves and trusting the information. And as soon as you go into doubt, you drop down into a lesser understanding. So every day I start my day, okay, I am, and I'm connected to the highest information, the highest knowledge, and the highest understanding. I'm here to serve the clients that I'm working with through love. I'm here to empower, right? And I'm here to tell the truth. And sometimes the truth is tough love. You know, on my radio show every Sunday morning, I'll have a new caller come in and I'll go, they'll start down this thing and, well, it's their fault. I go, okay, no. We're not doing that. We're not letting you get away with that, because the focus and the core of all this work is as you believe it's delivered to you. So we always go back to ourself, whether it's our child self or our teenage self or our future self or our past life self. We've got to go to ourself, and that's where the answers are. And as long as you do this, it's their fault or they're the reason I can't, you're never, ever going to get to the highest truth.
Because that finger should really be turned back round.
You bet.
Yeah.
That's where the pony is, right there.
Because everything's a mirror, isn't it? It seems to be to me that anyone that's in our life for a reason seems to be mirroring something that's we need to work on ourselves. Or,
absolutely.
Yeah.
The good stuff and the bad stuff.
The good, right. The good stuff.
You know, and that's one thing. I want to take a minute, because I don't think people acknowledge themselves enough either. You know, when you've been clear about what you want to create, and you create it and you receive it, you have to go, good job, dude. Look how powerful I took that energy and created that with. I mean, auditioning for Hal Prince the first day you land. Now, see, I could have gone, yeah, but I didn't get it, and dismissed the whole thing. But no, I created it. I had a successful audition. I got really close. By the time I left, I knew who to study with and everything. You know, I gleaned a lot of information, and I felt powerful, right? So we have to really celebrate all those little and big victories that we create in our life, and then we get more.
What is the reason for having the human experience, would you say, after all these years of doing this work as well?
The only reason we're here is to learn we're God. That we're God and God's us. These things and more will you do also. You know, man took that away from us. Man limited us. Man said, oh, you have to talk through me to get to God. God said, go do it. You can do the same thing I'm doing, right? And so we are here to learn how to work with energy, right? Call it the angels, call it the guides, call it God, call it universal love. It doesn't matter. It's the energy that you have to work with. And we're in partnership and friendship with that. But it's not going to create for you. It will create with you around your very focused choice.
And do you think most people, when they channel, because, okay, my understanding of channeling is, for example, you know, it's like a funnel. You're bringing that greater part of yourself through, and you're sort of widening the pipe a little bit when you do allow that to come through, just the aspects of that greater part. So, are we all? Would you believe that most of us, if we are God, we are channeling an aspect of God through us, if we're God having a human experience?
Somebody called into my show and said, who do you channel? I said, I don't have the slightest idea, let's ask. And it was all thought, all possibility, and all space in between. To me, that's God. So I just say I channel God because God is all there is. Or universal truth, or divine love, or whatever term, right? Because a lot of us were brought up in religions where God actually became a negative word.
Yes.
So again, my definition of God is all thought, all possibility, and all space in between. It's the everything.
Yeah, it's us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we're it, it's us.
But we like names, don't we? Human beings like names, don't they? And, you know, I've met over nearly 70 channelers, and, you know, some of them are oneness, some of them are God or source, most definitely. But a good proportion, you know, name it. And I think that's okay. But I think
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, does it? No.
It doesn't matter as long as you're channeling the truth.
And how do you know you're channeling the truth?
I can only speak from, first of all, I know that your energy has to have direction. I direct that every day. I only want the truth. And I only want the highest understanding of that truth. So I trust. I've never known my channel to be wrong. And I will come forward and say that over and over and over. I have no doubt of the truth of my channel. And I have so many affirmations from the people that I work with that if I had any doubt, I have doubt about me as a person, but when I go into the channel, there is no doubt there.
Thank you. Everything you're saying just rings so much truth. And your website is?
I am DeeWallace.com.
Okay, well, throughout this docu show here right now, that's been coming through on the lower third for people to be able to get in contact with yourself.
Beautiful.
When did you start publicly channeling? When did you start going out to say, look, I'm now a channel, I always have been? When did that side come through for you?
When my husband died. Now, I had been doing it as an actress, and with some of my family. I would get hits, you know, what I call the hits. But when my husband died, I fell to my knees and I said to God, I don't want to be pissed off. I don't want to be a victim. I want a way that we can heal ourselves. So I asked, and within seconds, I heard very clearly in a voice, use the light within you to heal yourself. Now, I sort of kind of knew what that meant. I'd studied philosophy, and I was spiritual. I knew what the light of God is, and, you know. But every time I do a webinar, I get a more expanded understanding of what that means, and how to use the light, and how to focus the light, and that we are light, and that really that's all there is light, lowered down into some kind of physical manifestation by thought and focus and desire, right? Mm-hmm. So I just follow that. It's simple. It's really not the cure for cancer. And when I do it, and when the people that I train live it, and that's where our big challenge is, life shifts. Big time life shifts.
Do you think the times that we're going through right now, especially, well, in America, I could say where I come from, in the UK, I could say all over the place, really, there's...
Challenge.
Right.
Challenge. Now, I'm going to assume I know that I'm going to channel your question, Kevin, because I think the great question here is there a purpose? Is it positive? What's it all about, Alfie? Right? And like all energy, it can be positive. It can be what we call negative. To the one energy, there is no positive and negative. There's only energy in the direction of it. If you look at the world, wherever you are, and go, it's going to hell in a handbasket, as my grandma used to say, we're so in trouble, we've lost who we are, we're despair, anger, so much anger about what's going on right now, you will take the energy and focus it toward the negative. If you know and live the real principles of creation, you know that no matter what happens, you better go to love, you better keep yourself balanced, and you better keep yourself focused on exactly what you want. So, if it's money, like when I go to speak, I'll have somebody come up, never met him before in my life, I'll say, so we're working on money, what do you want? Well, I don't want to worry about it all the time, and I don't want to feel like I don't have enough, and I'm angry about it, and I kind of feel, I said, okay, you've just spent 5 minutes telling me what you don't want. So you're going to get more of it, because it's like the Little Shop of Horrors. If nobody had fed the damn thing, it wouldn't have eaten everybody, right? But we keep focused on what we don't want. Mm-hmm. And what we do want is love and integrity and hope and communication and respect between our fellow. That's what we all want. If you have cancer, you better focus on health, not on the cancer, not on beating the cancer, not on the war on cancer. We've got a war on so many things. Where's your focus? It's on what you don't want. So we all know the principles. We've all studied them. We've gone to the seminars. And then we go back into our lives and we don't live it consciously. Not to say there's not going to be a challenge, but when there's a challenge and you start going into the toilet, you go, Oh, no, no, no. I'm climbing back out before it flushes, right? I'm going to get myself back into balance, and I'm going to remember how energy works. Open my heart, open my chakras, go to love. What do I want?
Beautiful.
And stay focused there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. So when you channel, how do you go down, or go through, or go up, however you want to call it, right?
I've been in the channel since we started the interview.
Okay, that's interesting.
So my voice doesn't change. My eyes don't go back in my head. A lot of people, go ahead, ask me anything. I'm in the channel right now. Go ahead. What do you want to know about?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
But, and when I do ask you, is it more of you see pictures, you hear the voice and you repeat it?
Mostly I get messages. Sometimes they give me pictures now. Because I'm an actress, and when I teach channeling, I teach people that they've got to find their own way. Because I'm an actress, it started out saying, go to a book, go to your sheets, which my sheets are a compilation of like 25, 27 years of work now. Go to a play, go to a movie, and when you guide me there, then usually I hear it. Or I'll hear an age to take you to. I'll get clearly, was it your mom or your dad, which is the key to what you've locked away that you need to be aware of. And that's usually enough information, and then people are just there, they got it. And then we get to it together and we go, okay, in that moment, that's the belief you put together. Now what do you want to believe? Because, and I want everybody to hear this, your past and your present have nothing to do with what you're creating right now. That moment 5 minutes ago is gone. What are you creating right now? Just because I came from a poor family and my dad was an alcoholic, that's my story. If I keep dragging my story around, it becomes my present. If my present keeps dragging the story around, it's my future.
That's a great way of putting it. And what about some people who get a bit attached to when they've had a past life reading, and they're saying and the past life reading helps them to make sense of why they've got certain attributes right now, or why they act and do certain things.
Yeah. But you see, most people use that as an excuse to stay there. No. Oh, okay. So I suffocated in my last lifetime, and that's why I get asthma or whatever. Okay, so what do you want? You want to know that you're safe to breathe freely now. I breathe freely in this world. I love taking breaths in this world because I'm held safe.
You're right. Some people want to hang on to it, and when you go see them,
it's the drama.
Oh, God.
It's the drama, Kevin.
It is. Because, yeah, you're dead
Go
right
ride
there.
a roller coaster if you want drama, but don't live your life in it.
It's so true what you're saying, because you meet them. I've met many of them, right, where they're like, oh yeah, this is why I am. Look, these patterns are coming back through again. Look, it's always there. That pattern is. I'm like, God.
It doesn't ever get you what you want, ever.
No.
For example, okay, I teach a lot about the little child because I know that your little child is the one that's really running the show in the limitations of your life. For example, I just got a lovely letter from my bank that my mortgage is done, and now my mortgage payment will be more than twice what it has been. Now sure, everybody can understand that can cause you to go into reaction. But I went into a place of panic and almost hyperventilation, and totally went out of my own work for about a day and a half. And then I went, all right, Deanna, this is ridiculous. You know this doesn't have anything to do with financially where you're at right now. So, little Deanna, what's this about? Well, she showed me very clearly a memory that I had forgotten. Because when my mom and dad couldn't pay the rent most of the time, and they would send me, the little blonde, cute, 4 or 5-year-old, to the door to say my mommy and daddy aren't home. And I would look up at this very, very scary man who would say, you better tell them to pay their rent or you're not going to have a home to live in. Hear the words? You're not going to... Had nothing to do with my reality right now, but it triggered that sense memory in my little girl to the point that she totally took me over for a day and a half till I could bring myself back to balance and objectivity and start taking positive action around what I had to take, which puts you back into your power, right? And back into the control in the creation of what you want. So I made an appointment with my CPA. I called, checked out everything that was in my savings, in my investments. How was I going to work this out? I'm fine. I'm fine. But most of us stay in the drama because we don't know it's our little kid that's running the show. I'm telling you, the work that we do in our community with our little boys and girls have changed people's lives right and left.
It's amazing, isn't it, how much in childhood, that blimp in childhood affects most of our adulthood and beyond.
You know why? Because our brains are done by the time we're 6 years old. In the way that we see the world, in the way that we think the world sees us, all done. Our self-worth in the world, locked in by 6 years old. So I know that spirituality, religion, and brain science are all saying the same thing. Christ said, think only on these things. Think only on love and joy, and beauty and happiness. Spirituality says whatever you focus on, that's what you're going to create. Science says, what you look at and what you focus on will be the creation of your life.
Well, let's channel a few questions now, which you are anyway in that mode, like you said. That I just want you to grab your pendulum so that you can, because that's the way you normally work. So let's take that.
Which, by the way, has no power. Right? It's like a telephone.
It's a comfort thing, isn't it? It's something
it's just it's just a way that I trust that if I come in personally at all, this will say, no, you're going the wrong way.
Totally, that's very clever you doing that. Totally understand as well, and thank you for this. Okay, so we talk about that, we are creators of our reality and as such. So let's just look at it a little bit deeper than that, actually. That when we create our reality, are we actually that powerful that we are shifting the reality around us, that we are...
Absolutely.
So we're jumping into another reality in a sense, once we've set a decision in place.
You're in and out of multiple realities all the time. We exist on several different dimensions at the same time, playing out the same and different stories in different ways. And that's why it's so important to work on the integration. On this plane, I'm the boss, right? On this plane, I have to get my little girl to follow me and my direction of where I want this energy to go. Her fears, her limitations of childhood cannot run the show anymore. Love you, I'll take care of you, I'll protect you, and you're going to come along for the ride of my empowerment.
So by you empowering your little self, then this larger version of you now, this greater version of you, or maybe it's the same version, just a, a bit older, is now able to take control of the ride.
Yes, because I deal with the truth, not with the illusion. She's still living in the illusion, which was truth for her.
But but you healed that side of you. So every time an issue comes up, and as the example that Dee gave us just there, because I know there's something greater coming through right now, which is Dee as well. But that example that you gave us, that was one way of healing the little person when an issue comes up.
Yes, you can say I'm healing the little person. You can say I'm retraining my brain by refocusing it. Mm-hmm. You can say I'm channeling the truth and, training her, teaching her, taking care of her to follow there's a million different ways you can say it. It's all doing the same thing. You are taking an untruth that's a limitation and redirecting it into what you want and what you want to know within yourself.
And you mentioned some fantastic information there that, yes, we're shifting realities as we make a decision change. It's never quite the same place we're going back to. It's the consciousness that shifts. As a
You
point.
bet. And when you shift you, the energy around you has to shift. It has to. Just like water. If you put a dam in its way, right, that water has to shift. It can shift around it. Maybe some of it can shift under it. But most of it's going to build up against it, right? So you know this from walking into a room, for example. If you go to a party and somebody's having a really bad argument over in the corner, that energy permeates the whole room. And people go because their energy is affecting everybody's energy.
We've all been there before, yeah.
We all have been it before.
That's true.
We've been the people affecting the energy, and we've been the people whose energy is affected. And it has to work that way. Energy is going like this all the time around the direction that it's given.
So do you? Okay. So if we're shifting about the place as we change our truth on what we want, or we've changed our focus on what we want to experience, right? Or what is our greatest desire, maybe? As long as we do that from something that's going to really be something that we have to be in love with the decision, don't we? What we're trying to choose.
Oh, you have to be passionate about it. Absolutely. Passionate. I love money. People go, oh no, I don't want to say that. I'm abundant. No, you want money, and whatever you want, you've got to love. You have to love it like your divine partner. And that's anything you want to create, ask yourself the same thing you would ask yourself if your divine love were the subject. Am I spending time with my money? Do I honor my money? Do I respect my money? Do I love to be with it? Do I love to, use it and interact with it? Do I love to share it? Right? Like I love to share the love of my partner with people, right? So important to be in alignment. And the knowingness of anything that you want. And most of us, again, if you go back to your little girl and little boy, how many people were taught, oh yeah, go love money. You love money, honey. It's great. Even I can't tell you many people that came from wealthy households that hate money because money created their parents being away from them, or so much chaos in the house or argument. And so now they'll say, I don't understand. I come from money and I can't make any money. Well, that's because money became a negative to their little person in there. They've got to get back to holding money, go, Come on, Deanna, you love money. You love having money. Everybody loves having money. You're not going to go to hell because you love money, right? And same thing with your body. So if we get sick, that's the first thing that'll switch our energy and take us out of balance. Because we go into fear. We go into really big fear about it. And so then instead of, I love wellness, I love being well, I love being full of energy, I love being vital, we go, I hate being sick, and I'm scared of being sick, and and then we create more focus on sick.
Where is your focus? That is so true.
Yeah.
Where focus goes, energy flows.
Bingo! But you have to choose. The first thing is choice.
Why do most of us fail at that? Well, not fail, but we don't seem to do very well at that, do we?
Well, then you're falling out somewhere in the process.
Do you think it's because we don't believe in ourselves?
I think it's different for everybody. I don't know. They just said that you don't believe in yourself is number 2. Number 1 is you don't know that you're the power. And if you don't know that you're the power, then you will not believe in yourself and trust yourself. Because you haven't practiced knowing that you are the power that makes the choice that creates your life.
And that which I'm speaking to now, which is coming through Dee, would it call itself or herself?
God, it's God. I told you, it's God.
It's God. And and I only asked that because I'm like, oh, God,
get comfortable with it, Kevin.
Yeah.
And remember, my definition is all thought, all possibility, all space in between.
When I channel, I just want to say this, that it's always been a group called The One, but that could be...
Fine, it's God.
Yeah, it's God, yeah.
There isn't anything that's not God.
And if I was tuning in here, they'd say the same thing probably.
Okay,
yeah,
well, ask him.
I'm just getting yes.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Well, I know that that's the truth. Whether you channel Angel Gabriel or something called The One or One Thought or what is Theo, right?
Yes.
It's all the same energy.
Yeah, and all I can hear coming through is tell her she is loved. Tell her she is loved.
Well, you tell them, I know, and so are they.
And that's a reminder for me, apparently.
I know I'm loved. I know I am loved by this universe.
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask you, because we're getting close to the end here, but one thing I really want to ask you as well is for those watching how easily you just connected there, right? Which is really amazing, actually, just how you just go into it just like that.
I kind of live in it, really.
I think you do, right? but for someone watching this right now, I was thinking, well, how the hell do I do that?
The first thing is I am a channel. You have to claim it. You have got to claim it in order to create it. God said, I am that I am, right? So in today's terms, that would be, I can't be something that I haven't committed to being. I can't be anything, I can't be an actress until I say I'm an actress. I can't go into Steven Spielberg's office and go, I don't know if I can act, but I sure would like to be the lead in your next movie, right? No, I'm an actress. I'm a mother.
What if we don't know what it is what we want and we're still searching for that?
We all know what we want. I don't buy that ever from anybody. You want health. You want wealth. You want to know you have more than enough. You want centeredness. You want peacefulness in your life. You want beautiful relationships and love in your life, right? Caring, respect. We all know what we want, Kevin. All of us. And so my question to everyone is, are you that?
What if it's multiple things? Is that okay?
Well, you're asking someone who's an actress, who's a teacher, who's a healer, who's an author, and who's a speaker. So what do you think my answer to that is? Anything that makes you happy, go do it. You get a hit to do something, go do it. You want to learn to line dance, go do it. What makes you happy? What rocks your boat? And then, when can you give? In whatever you do, how can you give? How can you share the happiness? Right? Some of the most important people in my life were the grandmothers and the church counselors that helped guide me, that baked the cookies for the kids in the neighborhood. They weren't presidents or senators or big doctors, right? They were people that loved you.
And is that how you give back in your love to other people?
Whenever I can.
That makes a lot of sense.
When I stop creating and pull back from love, I am desperately unhappy because I've lost knowing who I am.
Yeah. And do you feel that disconnect sometimes?
Of course. Everybody does.
Yeah.
We're living in a human world where we're challenged, like the mortgage. We're going to take hits in our life. The point is, are you conscious enough to bring yourself back? Do you love yourself enough to bring yourself back and go, wow, I just left my magnificence for a while, but I'm back.
That is so beautiful, and we're almost at the end, almost up to 5 o'clock, and I don't want to. I know you've got to get going at 5, and you've already said this, but let me just ask you again as a final question. Then, what would you say is the most important message of your work?
Love yourself. Love yourself beyond anything else, because when you truly love who you are the one energy, and you just naturally and instinctively share that with the world. And we've all been taught not to do that. It's the biggest disservice that we do to our children, and that the biggest disservice and sins of the fathers that was passed down. It's blasphemy to love yourself. For God loved himself so much, right? When you truly love yourself, you just want to share it and share it and share it and share it and share the truth some more.
Let me ask you one final question. This could be for you to channel as well. I know you've been channeling all this as well. What is the mission or purpose of God?
Well, the first thing I heard was to love. But they want to extend that. Hold on. It's to love ourselves so greatly and so much because we see that we are the creators of our own life and our world through the choices we make. That's the greatest vision and purpose of God, which is all thought, all possibility, all space in between, is to take that energy of it and focus itself on being it. Wow, what a great question. I never asked that before. That was all. I'm kind of, aren't you kind of filled with that?
I am.
Of that?
Let me ask one more as well, just to end what you were saying before. And as we're shifting between realities, are those other realities also affecting this one as well?
Absolutely. All interconnected.
Is that an issue for this reality, or is that just a side effect of making a choice?
It's an issue for this reality if you are not consciously choosing and directing what you want on this plane in this lifetime. And by the way, you can communicate always to all the other yous, going, yeah, I want you to come on board with this one. Everybody come in, help me create on this plane in this lifetime right now.
One other question that's come to me, I've got to ask you,
Yeah.
this is interesting for you as well. If that's the case then, and E.T. was a success in other realities as well, did that film in other realities have greater shifts in mankind's progression as well? Because it was such a strong film.
Still is the answer. It still is.
Even in other realities?
Absolutely.
And would that film in other...
In future lives?
In future lives as well?
Yep.
So in future lives, what's being channeled through Dee now, that film will also have an effect on future lives?
Well, The Wizard of Oz still has an effect on ours, doesn't it?
That's so true.
Yeah.
Now it gives me goosebumps, because that's, for me, and I always try to show my niece and nephews that film as well.
You bet. Because it's the truth again. Do you know, one of the last lines in that film, Galinda says to Dorothy, you had the power all along. You had the power all along.
Yeah.
Peter Pan, think happy thoughts and you fly.
Yeah.
E.T., keep your heart light on. We've heard it and heard it and heard it and heard it, Kevin. Are we living it?
Yeah. Well, Dee Wallace, just thank you so much for joining us.
It's just, I could go on for hours with you, Kevin. It's just been an honor, really.